After being rejected by my crush of 3 years, my parents revealed an arranged marriage. Before I knew it, I had signed the papers, only to realize my new wife is Shen Mengxi, the school's cold, ice queen goddess, and now, she's actually mine. Just yesterday, I was the school's biggest loser. Standing on the playground in front of hundreds, I gathered the courage to confess to Lin Xiaoya, a classmate I'd loved for 3 years. She didn't even glance at my flowers, just coldly tossed back, "Jiang Jie, you're a nice guy, but I need a man who can save me 20 years of hard work. You can't do that." Crushed, I headed home, ready to lock myself away and cry. But as soon as I stepped through the door, my parents tackled me onto the sofa. My dad took a deep drag of his cigarette, looking serious as if declaring a state secret, while my mom slammed the family register on the table. Dumped? Fine. Dad exhaled a smoke ring, dropping the bombshell. "You're getting married today." I choked on my water. Arranged marriage? In this day and age? My mom handed me a tissue, then twisted the knife. "Your grandfather saved her grandfather's life. They drank a bit too much and sealed this pact. Now the old man is dying, and his only wish is to see his granddaughter married. They promise cars, houses, and shares if you sign. If you don't, your dad and I are throwing you out. Consider yourself disowned." I didn't even get a chance to protest. Dragged along by my parents, I was kicked to the steps of the registry office at dawn the next day. As I snapped back to reality, I realized the girl I'd just sworn vows with and taken photos with wasn't some girl nobody wanted. It was Shen Mengxi, the school's most popular, high and mighty goddess, the senior from the finance department, the famous campus ice queen. The wealthy suitors chasing her could line up from the cafeteria to the school gate. I'd heard a rich kid once set up 999 roses under her dorm, only for her to call security and have him dragged away for disturbing the peace. And now she's my wife. 10 minutes ago, when that black Maybach pulled up and Shen Mengxi stepped out in a sleek black trench coat and heels, I thought I was dreaming. She walked up, pulled off her sunglasses, and fixed her cold, emotionless eyes on me. "Jiang Jie," she said, her voice crisp. "Hi," I almost bowed. "Cut the crap. Do you have the register? I have a meeting at 10:30. She glanced at her Patek Philippe watch without a ripple of emotion, as if we were signing for a package rather than getting married. The registration was bizarre. Most couples are sweet and clingy. We stood half a meter apart, looking like total strangers sharing a table. The clerk looked at me, then the documents, frowning hard. "Young man, marriage is a lifelong commitment. Is this voluntary? If someone is forcing you, you can call the police." Before I could speak, Shen Mengxi slapped a gold card on the table, emotionless. "Ma'am, our relationship is stable. Please proceed." The clerk was intimidated by her presence and stamped the papers immediately. The photo session was even more awkward. The photographer was sweating, pleading, "Smile, bride. Get closer. This looks like a wanted poster." Shen Mengxi's side scooted toward me by 1 centimeter and gave the most half-hearted 0.1-second smirk. Click. Captured on that legally binding photo. I looked like a clueless idiot forced into this, and she looked like a hitman ready to strike. Leaving the office, the Maybach waited. Shen Mengxi turned, pulled a set of keys and a pre-printed contract from her bag, and shoved them into my chest. "Those are keys to my apartment." She stared into my eyes, speaking fast. "We need to keep up appearances. My grandfather will check on us, so you must move in with me." "Living together?" I stared, heart skipping. "It's a roommate situation," she corrected coldly. "The rules. 1. Never reveal our relationship on campus. We act like strangers. 2. Don't ask about my personal life. I don't care about yours. 3. When grandfather's people visit, you play the loving husband." She slammed the car door, adding, "Move your stuff today. I'm checking tonight. Be late and you're dead." The door banged shut. The Maybach sped off, leaving me stunned in the wind with the keys in the laundry list of demands. I took the bus back to campus. What was this? Yesterday, a broke student who couldn't afford lunch. Today, I owned half an apartment in the city center and a cold goddess every boy on campus dreamed of. Back at the dorm, my roommates were gaming. The leader, Fatty, pulled off his headset, eyes gleaming with gossip. "Jai, where did you go to drown your sorrows after that confession? You didn't come back all night. Hey, what's that little red book?" I panicked, shoved the marriage certificate into my pocket, and mumbled, "Nothing, just a blood donation card." "Donating?"
You?
Fatty's friend adjusted his glasses, skeptical. "Forget it, hurry up. There's a big public lecture by an industry titan this afternoon. Plus, Shen Mengxi is the guest of honor. Every boy on campus is going crazy. We won't even find a place to stand." Hearing her name made me shiver. "Right, the campus ice queen," the third roommate said, rubbing his hands. "She's impossible to see, but today is our chance. Get moving." I touched the certificate in my pocket and the keys, laughing bitterly. "The ice queen you worship is my legal wife, and I have to move in with her tonight. If I said that, I'd never leave this room alive." To avoid suspicion, I let them drag me to the auditorium. It was packed. We squeezed into a corner in the front row. On stage, the expert was talking about economic models, and beside him, handling the slides, was Shen Mengxi, the woman I'd married hours ago. She wore a crisp white suit, hair pulled up, gold-rimmed glasses framing her sharp, focused eyes. She stood there like a snow lotus beyond reach. The boys in the crowd were wide-eyed. Stunning, flawless, Fatty drooled. I sat in the corner, head low, terrified she'd see me. The first rule was to act like strangers. I didn't want to break it on day one. But as the lecture neared its end, the professor stopped, smiling at the audience. Can anyone apply this model to the current market? Silence. Everyone was here for Shen Mengxi. Nobody cared about the lecture, let alone such a professional question. The professor turned to her. Mengxi, pick someone. My heart leaped into my throat. Shen Mengxi scanned the crowd. I buried my head, praying, can't see me, can't see me. But even if I turned to dust, she'd recognize me from that ridiculous marriage photo. The boy in the gray hoodie in the front corner. Shen Mengxi's clear voice cut through the mic. Yes, you. The one with your head almost under the table. Answer this. Hundreds of eyes turned to me. Fatty poked me hard. Holy crap, the goddess picked you. Your ancestors must be smiling. I stood up, knees shaking. I looked at the stage, meeting Shen Mengxi's eyes half smiling. Her gaze said, go on, continue. Please answer, student, she prodded, a trace of sarcasm in her tone. My mind was blank. What model? I didn't even catch the professor's name. I think I stammered, sweating. Just as I prepared to give up and admit I knew nothing, the auditorium door burst open. A guy in designer clothes with a slick-back hairstyle marched in, holding a huge bouquet of roses. He ignored the professor and the students, walking straight to Shen Mengxi. Mengxi, he shouted, his voice echoing. The room went wild. Who is this guy? So arrogant. Fatty whispered. It's Chen Hao, the school's biggest rich kid. He's been chasing her for half a year. His dad's on the board. Chen Hao knelt before the stage, holding the flowers high. Mengxi, I love you. Be my girlfriend. If you say yes, this new Porsche is yours. He pulled out a shiny car key. The crowd erupted into whistles and cheers. The professor looked annoyed, but dared not stop the board member's son. Shen Mengxi's face turned from pale to ice cold. She looked at Chen Hao like he was a clown. Chen Hao, I've told you many times, I don't like you or your car. This is class time. Leave now. Her voice was freezing. Don't be like that, Mengxi. Everyone knows my heart. Who else but me is worthy? Chen Hao knelt there, more arrogant than ever. If you don't agree, I won't get up. It was blatant moral blackmail. Everyone was watching, waiting to see how the Ice Queen would handle this. Standing in the corner watching this farce, I felt a surge of nameless rage. Though our marriage was just a contract, legally, she was my wife. Being teased in front of hundreds just hours after we signed those papers? Do they think I, Jiang Jie, am just air? As Shen Mengxi frowned, ready to call security, I lost it. I grabbed a mic from a nearby table and shouted, Hey, Blondie! My voice boomed through the speakers. Everyone froze. Chen Hao turned, looking at me with pure annoyance. Who the hell are you? But I ignored him, striding toward the stage under the stunned gaze of hundreds. I marched straight toward Shen Mengxi. She caught my eye, a flicker of surprise flashing across her face before she hissed through clenched teeth. Jiang Jie, are you insane? Did you forget our agreement? I ignored her, turning instead to face Chen Hao. I smirked. Who I am doesn't matter, but you're blocking my wife from getting to class. Silence instantly paralyzed the auditorium. A second later, it was like an atomic bomb went off. The entire hall erupted at the word wife. That word echoed from the speakers, killing the silence until you could hear a pin drop. Then total chaos. Who is this guy? Is he crazy? Calling the goddess his wife? I must have heard that wrong. Did he lose his mind? Challenging Chen Hao and taking liberties with the goddess? The whistles and catcalls were enough to blow the roof off the place. My three roommates in the front row, Fatty Wang, Skinny Ho, and Zhang Meng, had their jaws on the floor, eyes wide as saucers. They looked at me like I was a ghost. Chen Hao was stunned too, frozen on one knee for 5 long seconds before snapping out of it. He jumped up, squeezing his Porsche keys until they crunched. His face turned deep purple as he pointed at my nose. Who the hell are you? Say that again. Who did you call your wife? I met his gaze without flinching, though my heart was pounding. I, Jiang Jie, am a man. I wasn't about to be bullied by some rich kid. If your ears don't work, go see a doctor, I said, shrugging with an attitude that probably made his blood boil. I said, you're blocking my wife. Move. You're dead, Chen Hao roared, tossing his roses and winding up for a punch. Just as he lunged, Shen Mengxi, who had been watching coldly, suddenly moved. She stepped right in front of me, that familiar cool scent hitting me instantly. Chen Hao, that is enough. Her voice wasn't loud, but it carried an undeniable authority that stopped him cold. Chen Hao panicked. Mengxi, this brat is insulting you. Let me teach him a lesson. He didn't insult me. Shen Mengxi took a deep breath, eyes closed for a beat. When she opened them, she looked resigned yet resolute. He told the truth. I am married. He is my legal husband. So, Chen Hao, don't come back here. Take your keys and get out. The roar in the hall spiked 10 times louder. If my comment was a bomb, her admission was a nuclear strike. The entire school's unattainable ice goddess was taken, and by a nobody in cheap clothes? Chen Hao looked like he was having a stroke. He stared from her to me, his lips trembling. No, impossible. You're lying. What does a loser like him have that makes him worthy of you? Whether he's worthy is my business, not yours. Shen Mengxi turned to Professor Niu on the stage with a polite bow. Professor, I apologize for the disruption. I have personal matters to attend to. She grabbed my wrist, icy cold. Follow me. I was dragged away like a puppet, walking right out of the hall under the murderous glares of every guy in the room. Once we hit the empty stairwell, she shoved me off and slammed the fire door shut. The Ice Queen's aura shifted. She looked like she wanted to eat me alive. She crowded into my space, pinning me against the cold wall. Jiang Jie, did you lose your mind? She hissed. Our first rule was to pretend we're strangers at school, and you didn't just break that. You called me your wife. I gulped, trying to bluff. I was just helping you get away from Chen Hao. Besides, I was stating a fact. We got the marriage license this morning. I even paid the 9 yuan for it. You dare bring up that license? Her chest heaved. I only did that for my grandfather. You think you were helping? Chen Hao is petty and has connections. You embarrassed him publicly. He will hunt you down. How is a broke student going to handle that? I paused. So she wasn't just mad about the broken rule. She was worried about me. Maybe the Ice Queen wasn't so cold after all. Who cares? If he comes, I'll deal with him. I waved it off. I'll just walk around him. But, since our secret is blown, what now? She rubbed her temples, returning to her frosty persona. Blown is blown. It might stop the flies around campus. But consider this a warning. Once we leave this room, this never happened. You're done with class, right? Go pack your stuff and move into my place. My grandfather might drop by for an inspection tonight. She turned, heels clicking away, leaving me standing in the stairwell. Back at the dorm, I pushed the door open to find 3 hungry wolves staring at me. Fatty, Skinny, and Jiang pinned me to the door. Confess! Fatty growled, looking at me with pure venom. Jiang Jie, you rat! You went behind our backs with the goddess? Did you get dumped and decided to go crazy? I was so dizzy from being shaken I had to beg them to stop. Alright, I'll talk. I spun a half-truth. We were family friends, old war buddies kids, promised to each other since childhood. I only met her today because our families forced us. The room went silent for 3 seconds. Holy crap, a protagonist move. Skinny slapped his leg. An arranged marriage with the goddess? That only happens in novels. You're set for life. Jiang Meng, however, looked worried. This sounds great, but Chen Hao isn't someone to mess with. You humiliated him. He'll come for you. Stay safe. I patted his shoulder, feeling a surge of warmth. These guys are idiots, but they've got my back. Enough talk, I have to pack. I dragged my battered suitcase out and started stuffing clothes in. Moving? Moving where? Living with the goddess? Fatty was practically drooling. I rolled my eyes. It's just a shared apartment. Her grandfather is visiting, so I'm playing the part. I'll buy you guys dinner this weekend. I grabbed my bag and headed out. I followed her address to Yunding Waiting, a famous luxury complex. Security was tight. If she hadn't pre-registered me, I wouldn't have even made it past the gate. The elevator took me to the top floor. I unlocked the door, stunned by the luxury. It was a 300-square-meter penthouse with floor-to-ceiling windows showing the city skyline. Minimalist black-and-white decor, cold, just like Shen Mengxi. A cold voice drifted from the living room. I turned to see her sitting on a leather sofa, in gray silk loungewear, scrolling through a tablet. Without her suit, she looked lazier, more human. Her long, pale legs were blinding under the lights. I quickly looked away and changed into slippers. Your room is at the end of the hall, she said without looking up, listing rules rapidly. Use the kitchen but clean it. My room is off-limits. No guests, no smoking, no stinky food like snail noodles. Understood, boss, I muttered, dragging my bag into the room. It was huge, with a bed 100 times comfier than my dorm cot. I hung my clothes up, but my stomach betrayed me with a loud growl. I'd barely eaten all day. I poked my head into the living room. Hey, Shen, did you eat? Want me to make some noodles? Shen Mengxi finally looked up, frowning slightly. I don't eat takeout or mystery food. There's stuff in the fridge. Do it yourself and clean up. Sure thing. I rolled up my sleeves and walked into that massive kitchen. I opened the double-door fridge. It was packed with Wagyu beef, truffles, and salmon. But as a guy who only knows home cooking, I had no clue what to do with that stuff. Finally, in the corner, I found some tomatoes and dried noodles. 20 minutes later, 2 steaming, fragrant bowls of tomato egg noodles were on the table. I even fried 2 eggs with green onions on top. It's ready. Want a taste? I called out. She wanted to refuse, but the smell pulled her in. She hesitated, then put down her tablet and sat down, staring at the simple bowl. I'm not hungry, just checking if it's edible, she said stubbornly, picking up a noodle. She took a bite, then paused. It wasn't bad. Actually, it tasted warm and homey. For someone used to fine dining, it felt strangely familiar. I noticed her speed up. I smirked to myself. Cooking at the orphanage for the younger kids taught me how to handle anything, even an ice queen. Just as we were eating in silence, a clear electronic voice rang out from the front door. Fingerprint verified. Welcome home. Then clicked, the lock opened. Shen Mengxi's hand trembled, nearly dropping her chopsticks. Her face went pale with terror. It's my grandfather. Only he has the fingerprint access. She hissed in a panicked whisper. Before I could react, she lunged at me like she'd lost her mind. She grabbed my hoodie, hauled me off the chair, and shoved me hard onto the fabric sofa. What are you doing? I panicked. Shut up and play along. Before I could finish, she scrambled onto my lap, messily tousling my hair into a bird's nest and pulling at the neckline of her silk loungewear. Her voice was trembling with panic. Before I could even react, Shen Mengxi charged at me like a madwoman. She grabbed my hoodie and yanked me up from the chair with such force, then shoved me hard, sending me sprawling onto the fabric sofa behind me. I pulled down her dress, revealing skin as white as snow. Suddenly the door swung open. A rhythmic, heavy thumping of a cane echoed, followed by a voice both ancient and booming. Mengxi, dear Grandpa came to check on you and your little husband. Shen Mengxi suddenly leaned down, pressing her face against my neck. She wrapped her arms tight around me and let out an incredibly fake, sugary squeal. Oh, darling, you are just the worst. You didn't even close the door properly. My whole body stiffened. I almost sprayed a nosebleed right there. What kind of crazy situation is this? I froze like a statue, hands hanging in mid-air like I was surrendering, terrified to move them. My nose was filled with her faint scent, mixed with the rising heat of her body from nerves. My brain was buzzing. Sit him down. A cane clattered to the floor at the door. I strained my eyes to look. An old man in a traditional outfit, hair white but eyes sharp as a hawk, stood there with a bodyguard built like a tank. The old man's eyes were huge, staring at us, tangled up on the sofa, his mouth open wide enough to swallow an egg. Hug me, fast! Shen Mengxi buried her face in my neck, hissing the command so only I could hear. I gritted my teeth. To hell with it. I put my hands right around her slender waist. Man, she was soft. I cleared my throat, channeling the best acting skills of my 20 years. I lowered my voice, faking an annoyed tone like my business had been interrupted. Darling, did the wind blow the door open? Grandpa, why didn't you give us a heads up? Shen Mengxi sprang off me like she was electrocuted, face bright red. I couldn't tell if it was from shame or anger. She smoothed her clothes and stomped her foot. If she doesn't win an Oscar for this performance, it's a crime. Usually at school she's an ice queen, but the way she called him Grandpa was so sweet. The old man blinked, then roared with laughter. Ha, good, very good. I guess I picked a bad time to visit. Go on, you two, take it to your room and close the door. We'll wait 10 minutes outside. No, Grandpa! Shen Mengxi rushed over, grabbing his arm to pull him inside. What are you saying? Please come in and sit. I scrambled off the sofa too. I straightened my wrinkled hoodie and gave a respectful nod. Grandpa, hello. The old man walked right up to me, sizing me up with a gaze so sharp, it felt like an X-ray scanning my soul. I was terrified. I was scared he would see right through our fake marriage. Just as I braced myself for an interrogation, his eyes landed on the 2 steaming bowls of tomato egg noodles on the table. Who made this? He pointed at the bowls. I did. I answered honestly. The old man stayed silent, walked to the table, and used the chopsticks Mengxi had just used to take a bite. Mengxi clenched her fists, terrified he'd complain. After all, the Shen family heiress having nothing but plain noodles on her wedding night looked suspicious. But the old man chewed, and his eyes turned red. So similar, he said, putting down the chopsticks with a heavy sigh. Back in the unit, your grandfather used 2 rotten tomatoes and dry noodles to save my life. This tastes exactly the same. He turned and slapped my shoulder with enough force to nearly knock me over. Good kid, you know how to live. Our Mengxi has been spoiled rotten. She doesn't even know how the kitchen works. Seeing you make this for her, I know I didn't misjudge you. I was stunned by the praise. Mengxi breathed a sigh of relief, but the old man's tone shifted, his eyes turning cold. Since you're married, you need to act like it. I looked around, and there's no festive cheer in here. You didn't even put up a double happiness sign. Grandpa, we just got our license. We haven't had time. Shen Mengxi quickly interjected. No need to buy them. The old man waved his hand. Lao Li, bring the items in. The bodyguard stepped in, carrying 2 massive red briefcases. The old man pointed at them. Mengxi, even if you wanted to stay low-key and skip the wedding, my granddaughter cannot be wronged. These 2 cases, the left holds deeds for 3 shops in the city center, the right contains a 5% stake in the Shen Group. Jiang Jie, take your ID tomorrow and handle the transfer. This is my dowry for you. Once he said that, not just me, even Shen Mengxi was stunned. Grandpa, this is too much. I can't take it. I waved my hands. Are you kidding? I'm just a background actor getting paid $9 to play a role. If I took millions in assets and got caught, I'd be rotting in a jail cell for 10 years. My word is final. The old man glared, his authority absolute. Since you call me Grandpa, this is what you're owed. And to help you 2 get closer and give me a great grandchild. Soon he paused, giving a fox-like smile. I've had Lao Li lock all the guest rooms. From today on, you 2 are sleeping in the same room. What? Shen Mengxi and I shouted in unison. What, is there a problem? The old man squinted. You were acting pretty affectionate on the sofa earlier, weren't you? No problem. Shen Mengxi gritted her teeth, forcing a smile. Grandpa, thank you for your trouble. The old man nodded, satisfied. All right, I've eaten and I've seen you. This old man won't get in the way of your nightlife. Remember, I'll send people for spot checks, so don't try anything clever. He left, thumping his cane with his bodyguard in tow. The door slammed shut, and the room fell into a deathly silence. Shen Mengxi and I stared at each other for a full minute. You scoundrel! Shen Mengxi exploded, grabbing a pillow and hurling it at me. I caught it, feeling wronged. Hey, be reasonable. You were the one who sat on me. I was just playing the part. I didn't even charge you for the acting. And you're cursing me? You're shameless. She was blushing, pointing at the red cases. Don't you dare touch those things. I'm sending them back to the estate tomorrow. I never said I was touching them. I may be poor, but I have pride. I threw the pillow back. The real problem is the guest rooms are locked. Where are we sleeping tonight? Mengxi looked at the closed master bedroom door, then at the massive leather sofa. She took a breath, returning to her cold, ice queen self. You're sleeping on the sofa. If you step near the master bedroom without my permission, don't blame me. And if a single word of tonight leaks at school, you're finished. She walked into the master bedroom and slammed the door, locking it. I stared at the locked door and shook my head. A wedding night spent on a sofa. Still better than my hard dorm bed, so these leather seats are an upgrade. The next morning, I was woken up by a frantic phone call. I picked it up, groggy, and Wang Pengzi's scream blasted through the receiver. Jai, you're famous. You're totally blown up. Check the school forum, it's a disaster. My heart sank, and I was instantly wide awake. I hung up and checked the forum. Man, the server almost crashed. The top post had a blinding red title. Ice goddess Shen Mengxi admits marriage. Mystery husband is a poor student from finance. The post was packed with photos. Not just of me at the lecture hall, but of us walking out together. The comments were already thousands of layers deep. My youth is over. How could the goddess pick a guy like that? I know this guy. He won't even buy a chicken leg at the canteen. What does she see in him? He doesn't even shower. It's definitely because Chen Hao is too cocky. She's using him as a shield. This guy is a total sucker. I heard Chen Hao trash 3 bars last night, vowing to finish this loser at school today. Brothers, we're in for a show. I read the comments, my mouth twitching. The imagination on these college kids. They should be writing web novels. But if Chen Hao wants to come for me, see the pinned comment for the full version of the story.